A warm welcome and greetings to all. My dear friend, today in this video, we will try to understand how the increasing corporatization has destroyed the rural economy, not just of India, but also of developed nations. My dear friends, since the adoption of globalization policies and which are driven by the market forces and which turn the economies into borderless and economies and free and open market concept has been introduced in the economic policies since the adoption of globalization. Due to the open and free market concept, the national and sovereign economies concept has completely collapsed and which turned the national and sovereign economies into a borderless economies which we known as a global economy concept. My dear friends, when the idea of globalization was propagated by the Western world, they quote many things about the globalization. They said the globalization is the only sustainable model that will spread the prosperity across the borders. And there are few parameters on which they try to propagate and they successfully propagate the idea of globalization. Those parameters are globalization will increase the world trade, globalization will increase the interconnectedness, globalization will bring the more investments, so the more job opportunities would be created. All these are things are uh, forwarded by saying that this is the most sustainable economic model for the world. And since after the adoption of economic policies, there are the implications have been seen. And let me start with on the one by one the parameters in which globalization has reached its peak, but still the problem like unemployment, problem like poverty, hunger, malnutrition still exist. And not just that these problems exist, even these problems become severe, and people are in the state of presently in the financial insecurity and social insecurity also. And we will take a case studies of all of those countries. Those are the flag bearers of globalization. That means Western world countries. So let me start with the first parameter, that is world trade. My dear friends, just before the 2008 financial crisis hit the world, the in world trade interconnectedness has reached its peak. In 1970, the world trade compared to world GDP is approximately 25 to 30%. And before just before the financial crisis of 2008, the world trade compared to world GDP is around 60%. And from 2008 till now, the world trades haven't crossed the 60% barrier. That means, in terms of world trade, 60% is the upper limit. And if we think over the second parameter, that is interconnectedness, also interconnectedness in terms of capital inflows and capital investments also, and in terms of international people's flow, that is migration also, that has also flattened since last 5 years according to DHL Interconnected Index Report 2020. That means, in terms of interconnectedness, in terms of world trade, globalization has reached its peak. And till now, problems are still exist. So let me discuss those problems with the case study. My dear friends, presently Europe is going through a winter spring. The way in 90s the Arab Spring has been developed, the way winter spring has been shown in the Europe presently. My dear friends, in UK presently the medical hall health staff, yeah, that means nurses, ambulance drivers, postal services, and the railway employees, students, social activists, environmental activists, pensioners, and the 1 lakh households. These are groups on street and protesting against the increasing inflation rates. The nurses are demanding 90% hike in their salaries because the inflation in UK has reached the 40 years high in present scenario. That's because the people in UK are in the crisis of living standard to maintain. My dear friends, countries those are at the peak of their globalization policies and the peak at the level of development, so-called development, what they quote, they are juggling for their living crisis. The railway staff is on strikes in UK. The 40,000 railway employees are striking, due to which for the 2 days the railway services has been in a condition of suspended situation. So this is the context of UK, and all these situations are not confined in the UK territory only. The whole of the Europe was in the encircle of this kind of protest. Presently in Europe, Germany is people in Germany also protesting, in Italy, in Romania, in Czech Republic and France. These are the countries and small pockets of other countries also people are protesting against their own government or the economic policies. The reason they are protesting is basically in the concept of globalization and globalized economic policies, people who fall under the ambit of small income group, medium income group, laborers, farmers, small shopkeepers, retailers, these peoples, these group of peoples are completely thrown out from the economic policies because globalized model has favored some elite group who's evolved as a corporate world, not just in India but across the globe. And presently, those corporate houses controlling the whole of the economic policies. They are the deciding factors of the economic policies. And because of that, somehow, large chunk is completely thrown out of the economic policies, and the one fourth people are controlling the whole system. My dear friend, these protests are not encircled just Europe. There are some imprints has been shown in the US also. My dear friends, in USA, 7,000 medical facility nurses are on the strike only of two reasons. One, they also want the pay hike the way UK nurses want it. And second thing is, one of the protesters in his interview said, these hospitals are working for earning profits. They have nothing to do with the people and their employees. That's why they are creating deliberately understaffing so that they have to pay lesser salary to the lesser peoples. That's why 7,000 UK nurses in USA also wanting to employ more peoples. My dear friends, the similar situation is in UK. UK also there are the vacancies in the nurses profession, but still they are not recruiting the people. According to the data and the reports of the National Health Survey of the UK, they are claiming that right now, despite having vacancies and the further recruitment procedures are nothing to do with in the present context, despite having the protests are demanding that. And not just that, my dear friends, presently the reports came from UK that is 25,000 people are in a state to change the professions. So this is a very critical situation. My dear friends, the Western world is one of the flag bearer of the capitalist mentality, and now which turned into a crony capitalism. They are completely working on the model of corporate and working on the model of private sector. They are frequently firing the people. Amazon has fired 10,000 people. Elon Musk has fired the people from the Twitter. So this is a kind of culture they followed, and that's why somehow the lower income group, middle income group, laborers, farmers, and somehow pensioners, these peoples are thrown out from the policy. That's why they are juggling. And let me come to the India's perspective also. My dear friend, in India also, we have witnessing the way corporate control is increasing. Still, we are in the state to break that corporatization's control. Otherwise, the situation will become even more worse because despite having somehow corporate in control is increasing, still India's rural India is facing a severe social and financial crisis. And presently, the way acquisitions has been done by the corporate houses, we have witnessed if we haven't break that process, the conditions in future will become even worse. My dear friends, in India, the financial instability in rural India is very prevalent. Farmers are not getting their price. Even the basic retail shopkeepers have completely wiped out from the markets due to these corporate houses and the e-platforms developed by these corporate houses. My dear friends, there is a one of the main reason why these corporates are increasing their footprints in the rural India. My dear friends, since the demonetization, GST, and the pandemic, whole of the unorganized economy was completely shattered in India. Demonetization and GST. First of all, both these two steps taken by the government in a very hustle manner. Many a times, RBI has also cleared that the RBI don't even know, and even the finance minister even don't know the when the demonetization was announced. This is the kind of situation in this country. My dear friend, demonetization and GST has completely destroyed our unorganized economy of India, and unorganized economy has a very significant role in India's economy. And many a times, economist has told the unorganized economy is known as the parallel economy of India. Because of that, we can understand the importance of unorganized economy in India by 2008 financial crisis. When the 2008 financial crisis hit the world, just because of unorganized economy in India, India was least affected. But right now, unorganized economy is completely shattered. My dear friends, in the Kiryana stores of rural India, small towns, shopkeepers, retailers are juggling. They're fighting for their existence. And the similar kind of situation has been in developed nations, and we are heading towards that. But the fact of the matter is, in developed nation, there is a situation somehow they absorb few things because of their higher per capita income, which is not the case with India. If the controlling the corporates were rural India, the situation become even worse in few years only. So that's why in India we need to tackle this corporate control, and by increasing corporate control in India, the problem of unemployment also even hyped. My dear friends, in India right now, the way corporate is encroaching in the rural India and acquiescing the companies and the destroying the retail shopkeepers and not getting the fair price to the farmers. That is why one of the main reason in the rural India, what I'm saying is on my ground study. That is main reason people in rural India are worried about if these things happen and their children don't get a job, how they will get married in future. This is one of the main concern in their mind, and don't take this issue as a for granted, and don't take it in a literal manner also. My dear friend, this is the one of the main concern, and this concern doesn't lies in India only. This concern lies in South Korea also. My dear friend, South Korea is considered as a developed country, and South Korea has a population of 5 crore people approximately. And right now, 75 lakh youth in South Korea doesn't want to marry just because of lacking of social security and income security, you can say, or financial security. My dear friend, this is one of the reasons. That's why the impact of globalization is not just economics, it also has a strong social fingerprints. My dear friends, the way corporate is controlling, the wealth is accumulating in the few hands. They want to create the economic structure in such a manner they had a control of mass production. That's the only reason they are entering in the farming sector also, because they want to turn land into manufacturing units, crops into commodity, so that they can do a business of hunger. I am saying these words very strongly, my dear friends. They want to do business of hunger in this country. The condition we can understand by the situation, the government itself claiming that they are providing food to 80 crores people, and the wealth is accumulated in the few hands. That is clearly showcased that somehow, due to the policies of globalization, India has developed, but Bharat left behind. Bharat dragged out from the economic policies. So that's why to introduce and accumulate sincerely the rural India, we need to break this corporate control system, and the way the European people, the European middle class, the European small farmers, the European retail shopkeepers, social activists, climate change activists, they come together. We need to come together in India also to break this nexus. That's the only way out, and that's the only work we have to do sincerely, so that we can accumulate rural India into the economic policy. My dear friends, you have listened me, you have given me an opportunity to speak on this topic. I would extend my thanks to all. I request you to please give your valuable feedback. Thank you very much.